talking about being bootlegged.
How do you get bootleg all the way over there?
Apparently it's easier to get bootlegged in other countries than it is here.
Ready to go?
Yes.
All right, so starting in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, how you doing? This is Michael Anthony Joseph, and welcome to my show, The Making of a Star. So today I have two special invited guests. First we have Mr. Roderick Giles and Evan Ross, right? The music producer. These guys are going to tell you everything you need to know about the business, directing, music, and of course, my forte is acting. First, I want to start with my acting reel. That's me, Lean on Me. That's when I get kicked out to school, right? Wait, I don't have to talk that loud. I got a microphone on, right? Lean on Me, remember 100 years ago? Of course, this movie changed my life forever. Got to work with Mr. Roderick here back in the day as well. It's the short version of my reel.
Come on, man. I've been waiting for this. Get this disgrace to the place out of here. Disgrace all once. What's he doing back, Mr. Wright? Someone must have let him in from the inside.
This is where I cut the girl's face. Marla Hanson story. I got to fly all the way to Portland, Oregon for this one. I still get checks. Not a bad guy unless you do the courtroom scene. Okay. What's that? All right, so let's move over to Ivan real quick. Want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Ivan? As we pull up the music.
Well, I've been really fortunate all my life in terms of being supported emotionally or whatever you want to call it. I feel like by my family, by friends, and in the beginning when you're doing something that's creative, there's not boatloads of money, right? We do it for some other reason, because we're passionate about it or whatever the case. And since I was little, I worked in doing voiceovers for radio before I could read. I just had to memorize the thing because they wanted they wanted like crisscross. They had to record jump before their voices changed. So that was, I guess, what they wanted from someone who's 3 months old or less than a year old. So I modeled and did voiceovers and stuff like that, and then eventually got into music. And when I was 13, I started DJing. I did a quasi internship when I was 17, and I learned how records are actually made and started doing production in Philadelphia and Jacksonville, Florida. And the industry is maybe similar to other aspects of entertainment, and it's music's perhaps equally as cutthroat. Perhaps because you can hide behind the label, you can hide behind the record. As a producer, I don't have to be the face on the cover, which is maybe a blessing and curse. But when as a DJ, it's maybe more different now because it seems that the better your mask is or your disguise is, the more you get paid, perhaps. There's in all aspects of music, whether it's me or Mariah Carey, there just isn't as much money to be made. But when the bubble burst in 2008, it was consistent with all businesses that we're all struggling, sort of like Corona or something, right? It's like we were all affected by that, and those challenges made us spin our wheels to come up with more innovative ways. So it was to create revenue. And it was in some ways perhaps like a cleansing process, that it weeded out people that had like 11 album deals that were going to end up buying back all their records and like trying to disguise them as like furniture in their living room for in lieu of not being able to sell them. And with DJing, no one really, you get paid to have your name put on the flyer, because when everyone shows up and once they pay their money at the door, they buy their ticket, no one really knows who that person is up there if they're not wearing like a funny mask or don't have some weird gag associated with their performance. And so you're getting paid to have your name on the flyer, basically. And at the end of the day, it's like anything that you can get a job one time, but to get asked back to have a repeat performance or whatever you want to call it, depending on the vocation, that's the trick. And at the end of the day, when a promoter in the DJ realm is booking 17 people to play in their 3 tents and for however many people, they're not going to hear you necessarily. And at the end of the day, you're perhaps your resonance comes in sort of like being their best friend, and who's the person that like hangs out with the girls and does the drugs and those are the things when they're booking the next party, like who's the person who's like is their friend at the end of it, because you're just another person playing music, playing records.
See, let me.
Yeah.
This right here is one of your mixtapes, right?
Yes.
Okay, so as I think the music is playing now while you're speaking, right? Probably, right? It is, right?
Yeah. That's from this one.
Okay. So it's kind of like a soundtrack type thing, right? It sounds kind of scary.
Yeah. I'd say it's sort of theatric or cinematic. Yeah, I would characterize stuff that I'm drawn towards.
So when you do a film, you might need somebody to do some soundtrack music for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Some
All the
networking
time.
going on here.
All the time.
100%.
Okay. Can I bring that down a little bit? Okay. See, the thing is this, right? When people hear the music business, there's so many different aspects to the music business. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember back in the day, there used to be a club called Soul Kitchen. I don't know if you remember Soul Kitchen, but it was known for Frankie Jackson. Soul Kitchen, he was a DJ. So as a DJ, he was famous, right? Everybody paid him to make a demo for them, to make the club party scene. Frankie was the man. So in the music industry, as far as being a DJ, that's one part of making it in the business, being famous as a DJ. But what about as far as having a record deal? don't you have a record deal with someone? Like, did you ever get a record contract?
Yeah, absolutely. And the the element of the bubble bursting and it made people become more creative, perhaps. We had to spin our wheels a little bit more. One of the things that I sort of fell into was I had a good stroke of luck with public relation companies. And PR companies oftentimes source clients that aren't in competition with each other. So if you write a song for one of them, then they're potentially going to turn you on to a number of other people that you don't have to.
One job leads to another job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So who have you written songs for that's famous? Anybody?
Rocky Mountain Hardware is the largest hardware manufacturer in the world. They produce all the hardware for Bellagio, for Four Seasons, for Ritz-Carlton.
So commercial.
It's all organic materials. I'm okay with writing songs for alcohol and cigarette companies.
You go for the dough then.
But well,
you do commercial stuff.
I don't turn my nose up at it. I'm not personally a smoker, and I only consider myself, I guess, a social drinker. But yeah, I'm not too proud. I don't discriminate against.
So music for like commercials for different products.
I'm okay with Sailor Jerry and Camel and.
So that's what. So it's not just like hip hop beats; it's like real commercial products.
Yeah, absolutely. I did a bunch of records for some ALMA artists. That's American Latin Music Academy. It's kind of like the Latin Juilliard. Okay. And Ilio Franco was one of the artists I did a demo for, and I really felt like I got a lot of reading done because he has all his own ideas, all the chops to do everything, and you just hit record, and 9 minutes of reading, and then into the track and the next track. So yeah, we're working with people like that. It's almost effortless.
Do you get royalties for that?
For something like that particular project, no, because I literally did.
So like, what music do you get royalties for?
I have a writing and publishing company, Secluded, and so in theory, I make money while I sleep.
Best way to make it.
I need to learn more about that. Well, say that again. You make money while you sleep.
Yeah, I know.
Tell me about that.
We need to be like pen pals with Bill Gates, right? The reality of publishing is that I'm with ASCAP, and 10% of the artists make up 90% of the revenue. So those are the people that we could imagine. Or they're the Taylor Swifts, and they're the people.
Michael Jackson's and all of those.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's just but that's just sort of the state of affairs of the world. Right. So. Yeah, I don't rest my eyes on that aspect of it, but I'm grateful. I'm not big in Japan, but they know who I am because I have records out there. So in theory, I do get paid while they play my stuff. But
so it's not just like I write a song for Mariah Carey, and then every time the song plays, I get paid. You can write songs for Campbell's Soup, commercial, and get paid every time it shows.
You know, when you talk song, I mean, I know he knows. He can break it down because you talk publishing and then you talk music, and they're two different things. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and you know, you have ASCAP and BMI, right? So
Absolutely.
Those are two different unions, right?
BMI pays bi-quarterly. That was the thing that made me compelled to ASCAP once upon a time. But the part about the industry that I have always taken into consideration is that music's existed since beginning of time, right? But the idea of music industry was only conceived when the record was invented. The idea that you could sit in your home by yourself and you could hear a whole orchestra, that was something you couldn't imagine about 100 years ago. And that was when the music industry started. So before that, that's why everyone in your family played different instruments. If you're a royalty, you had people that came and played for you. And the notion of music as a commodity was a completely foreign thing not that long ago. So the idea that we were going to hitch our selves to this thing and rely on it, it seems sort of far-fetched. You don't actually have to be able to play an instrument, that you could maybe just be in charge of merchandise. The record was conceived, and then we were sort of off to the races. So the fact that there's some perceived as something that's like failure in the industry, it may not have been as far-fetched as some other businesses, because what business has only been around for 100 years that you thought was going to go on till the end of time. So it's making all of us come up with new ways to be innovative and
Do you see, Roderick, do you see similarities with directing as well as with music? Like, for instance, like the movies I did, right? Lean on Me, Q&A, Jungle Fever, all those movies, I still get a check, a residual. Do directors get residuals?
No.
You just get paid up front?
You get paid, right? They get paid. Depending on what you're on, you can get paid very well, right? But there are always gaps between the work, depending on the process of helming a film, and going through the process of, writing it or finding a writer and getting access to the content, and then all of your collaborators, composers, actors, production design, wardrobe design. So all of that is goes over a period of time when you prep for a film, and so you're working for quite a length of time. You could be working on a project easily, a minimum, maybe about 6 to 9 months.
But who pays you? I mean, like, you write a
well, it depends on who you're attached to. If you have a studio picture, it's just like with a label. There's no problem, right? Because they have resources. If you're independent, you have to hit the pavement, and you have to locate individuals that are interested in the story you want to tell, and have faith in you that you can tell the story. To respond to the first part of your question, there are a lot of similarities in terms of film and music, and then it's important to know that there's really no such thing as a silent movie. Back in the day, if you talk about when movies first came about. There's no such thing as a silent movie. They would have an organist back at the dawn of films play the mood and tempo music according to what was on the screen. And so the image and the sound have always been bedfellows since the dawn of making film. To jump forward in relationship to the, you have to be a producer to kind of get long money.
Yeah.
You really have to be.
For instance, right? Two different things I want to talk about because one's music, one's directed. I'm bouncing off the walls here.
Mm.
But for instance, right? When it comes to, like, I did a video for Marvin Gaye, right? Marvin Gaye video called Inner City Blues. And when I did that, I worked with the Hughes brothers, right? They're the ones who did Menace to Society, Dead Presidents, right?
They did the Denzel movie.
They did which one?
One of the Denzel films, a dystopian film. How the title comes.
I know they did the one From Hell, I think it is, about Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Right? But I auditioned, I got the part, and when we was on set, I'm a very playful guy, right? So I make a lot of jokes and stuff. And I was like, yo, how y'all do it? I was never afraid to talk to stars, like straight up, walk right up to them. And I was like, yo, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? How'd you get at this? And he said, we wrote a script. He said, him and his brother, they both twins, the Spanish kids. He said they wrote a script and they shopped it. And it got picked up. And he said what happened was, he said we wrote the script and they wanted to buy the script. But then we convinced them that we could shoot it ourselves. So he said, now we got holes in the field grazing. I don't think you know what that means, right? Holes in the fields grazing, right? So I'm like, okay. So that tells me they got paid to shoot the script. They shot it themselves and they owned the rights to it. And then that money, they got a 3-movie deal, right? Am I saying it correct?
It could. I'm sure that they did. I mean, when you talk about, I'm not a lawyer, so that's my disclaimer about that, right? When you talk about ownership, right? There are different levels of it in relationship to the industry. And so subsequently, they own what was called the property. In film, scripts are called property because they can their value can ascend as opposed to depreciate, right? And that's the thing that everyone is looking for, is the base, the property, the thing. It's like when he creates music and they write music, that's the thing that we can, right? As Ivan talked about business, right? These distributors, right, want to own it, right? Because it's leverage for them in relationship to business, right? They don't always get into the game in terms of distribution companies because they love film, they love money. So, and they have the access to this and to present it to people, which is an industry. When you speak about the Hughes brothers, I don't know them personally. I don't think I met one of them once, maybe. That the independent, idea, the independent proactiveness, the inertia of saying, this is what I like, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. And so I've experienced that part of entering the industry through working with some filmmakers back in the day, and then I followed that path. It is fortunate that they were able to get their script to someone and convince them, like I said earlier, right? Angel investors, executive producers are always the people who write the checks. Have faith in the story, right? And that is one of my favorite films when it came out. And they have faith in that this particular individual that has put that story in front of me can execute it in quality. And that is interpreted to the possibility of bringing in revenue. Right.
So let's say the producer, I write the script, the producer says it's a good script, and then he'll get money to do the film from the distribution company?
Well, that's one way. He can go and get it from original people. First of all, he's got to get, if he didn't write it, he's got to get permission. He's got to license it. He's got to get permission, right, to walk it around and to present it to the team that he wants involved, albeit a cinematographer, a director, all of the team.
And then the actors too, right? The cast?
Yes, all of that, right. And then upon putting all of these ingredients together to make this happen, then you move forward. Now, there's still a leg on it, there's that, it's similar in both our industry, the pre-production, the production, and then the post-production. That's absolutely part of the process.
Then the movie hits all the theaters, makes $16 million the first day. The director says, "Where's my money?"
No, the director's getting paid way in the beginning. Now, there are certain directors that have that cachet, that have names. I mean, Steven Spielberg obviously can get some part of the back end. But that
points off the box office.
Yeah. Stuff on the back end, it's a deal, yes. But the distributors want to they want to capitalize. And then you are also, right, you are also obligated to and this happens in the music industry all the time, you're obligated to repay them what they've expended on your project. Right. So there may be a fee. Everybody's dipping in. I mean, since past COVID, like movie theaters will take a percentage right away before when they display your movie. So they take that. The distributor is responsible for paying that. That's one of my a clip from one of my films. We'll play it in a second. If you like. So everybody gets a chunk of money along the railway and filming. So let's say Mike Joseph's Theater plays it. So they're going to take their money from the folks coming in and putting their butts in the seats, right? Mm-hmm. If we follow this back, though, the distributor, one, has made the prints, and then they've done all of the advertisement for it. Prints and P&A, they call it. And so they put it in markets, on TV, they put it in magazines, they put it in radio, all of that, right? And then, so they charge a fee to do that. And so when you begin to talk about what the box office looks like, that 16 million, it begins to become shaved. So out the beginning, the movie theater takes 35% of that.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
And then a lot of people don't know that. Yeah, a lot of people don't know it, man. You're not at fault. And then you get to the distributor. The distributor's going to charge you 35%, right, fee for their services.
Right.
Right, and they also want their money back that they spent on the prints and advertisement. So now, where are we at? 10%? Right.
We're getting down there.
Yeah, right. So, 10% when you talk about, right, gross. But we're talking about net now. Now you start pulling out stuff. Pay here, pay here, pay here, pay here, pay here, fees, 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 fees. And so when you see $18 million, you think, that's a lot of money, and they're getting large sums of money, but it's distributed, it's dealt out. And so the blessing is, like the Hughes brothers, they got a multi-picture deal, right? You get a deal with a distributor, right? Or obviously, he knows a lot better than I do about. You can be a label when you are a label. Though, there's just so much other stuff that you are involved in and are responsible for. I'm in development on a picture now. We can play this, and I'll come back.
I was about to say, tell me about what you're doing, what you're up to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know he was still in there. It's so dark. I thought he was gone. I thought he abandoned us.
No.
I see him sitting there now, but I was like, where is he?
A game of my own creation. Tests your luck, your skill, and is made of high stakes. So here's the deal, son. 2 shooters compete. One with a basketball. An orange leather sphere about 30 inches in diameter, weighing about 21 ounces. And the other with a 9mm, chrome-plated, 4.5 barrel, 5 rounds in the clip.
Hold up, son. It says shoot out, not shoot at.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I turn the skill ball into a little bitch?
Yeah, man, you act like a little pum bitch, you know.
Man, fuck y'all. I'm out of here.
Hold on before you run. The gunner's gonna be blindfolded. Now, if you can score 5 baskets, then if you get 5 G's, that's right, kind of 5 G's for every basket that you sink. Cha-ching! But you gotta dribble the ball at least one time. And if you get popped one time, oh shit, it's over because you ain't got no money. Damn, you might even die. So it's 5 baskets playing against 5 bullets. That's basket bullet ball, baby.
What's that? What was the name of that one?
That's called Shootout.
Shootout.
Yeah,
Ready for a shootout?
So that is, in reality, it's a Faustian story, making a deal with the devil. That's Faust.
Makes more sense.
Yes. So it's I wasn't in a dark place, but it's a dark story.
Yeah.
The outcome is really interesting. What would people do for money? And then I'll at least say the quote. My favorite quotes in that, I actually wrote this piece, that's right, is basket bullet ball. I just love
Basket bullet ball?
Yeah, that's what he says. And at the end, my favorite part of it is, no matter how far you think you're ahead of the game, you always got to keep it moving. You always got.
And this is another one, right?
Well, that is another one, but we're going to actually see the date if you want to move.
Yeah, again.
Right.
Whatever you
This
say.
was on HBO. I licensed this to HBO for 2 years. When you talk about
That's not.
distribution,
Oh, you licensed it to HBO?
yeah, there's Wendell Pierce in that, who's on Broadway now. He's
Oh, yeah.
and I was hoping to meet with him after today's thing.
data waits.
Veronica Welch.
Oh, that's the guy from I
The
forgot. He was good in that. With
He's good in everything he does.
He's good. Yeah, he's good. I like him a lot.
Okay.
Was it Waiting to Exhale? Yeah, I think it was Waiting to Exhale.
Hi.
Hey, wow.
So, in relationship to me sharing what I can do in terms of storytelling. I have one that's got some action. It's kind of dark,
Okay.
and then this is romantic comedy.
Right.
And so the setup on that is two guys for the date. Two guys are waiting for blind dates at one's waiting for a date from a Christian dating service. The other one's waiting for a call girl, and the dates get switched.
Let's see another one.
Oh, you want to see another one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we see another one?
Okay.
I think it's already set, right?
Yeah, you can play
That one, that
engagement-
right there, yeah, yeah.
engagement party.
The
You
engagement
now
part.
have $500 million in your account. Sweet, huh? Once I make a decision, I like to stick with it. Sweet. We'll go to the W, check out some young models. Okay, man. Yeah. So, Tala, how did I do?
You're asking me? You're the MD.
Well, you're on the deal, too.
Okay. Let's see. You just made $10 million for about a month's worth of work. I'd say you added another notch to your belt.
Uh-oh.
Well, you know what I say.
Put your mind to it and you do it.
Uh-oh.
That's my girl. Oh, and don't worry, I'm gonna take care of you.
Really?
You'll see. Come bonus. Plus, I've gotta get you up to beat, bro.
Raymond, I've been wanting
Oh,
to.
don't thank me, don't. I mean, you do great work. Plus, so.
I'm so... What?
Yeah.
Accurate with
Something's
finance?
going on here.
I mean, we should get this crush.
Thanks, Ray. Hey, you want to go get a drink? Celebrate the deal?
We're going to celebrate, all
I
right.
can't. I gotta meet my fiance
Uh-oh.
Beyonce? What? Since when?
tonight.
Wow.
Nice.
I had no idea.
I like the light.
Congratulations. Is she a Brown alum too?
You know what? I gotta get going. I don't want to keep the future Mrs. Wade.
Right, of course. I'll have those files to you first thing in the morning.
Great.
Congrats again.
Thanks, Hal.
Have a good night.
Okay, I would like to interlude on this one here. Do you notice how the camera is telling his own story?
Yeah.
It's like you hear the dialogue, but the camera is telling you something, like the way the camera went to her lips,
The eyes.
and then it went to her cleavage, and it was like a lot of subtlety in there, but you knew it was leading somewhere.
Yeah.
You did that on purpose.
Absolutely on purpose. Absolutely on purpose. It's that sometimes we find ourselves in situations and we're saying one thing, but we're
Thinking another.
We're thinking a whole nother
And
thing.
the camera was doing the thinking.
Yeah. It was showing us where they were looking, and it was showing what else was. I hope people got it. That was preoccupied in their mind. It's kind of, if you will, a subtext, in relationship.
That
to
is fly.
The communication. Yeah, that was fun. Very talented cast, and it's
Yeah, but the cameraman was talented too.
Oh yeah. that's
well directed. Don't
that's
you think?
Tom Houghton who was doing what's the movie about, the series about the firemen. I did 3 films with Tom that he was my DP on. He's very talented. I did a film also with Tyson Beckford with Tom and whatnot. So this was a
camera tells the
challenge.
story.
Well, this was very challenging for me. I challenged myself on this because what we were actually on Wall Street. There was a Wall Street executive that actually allowed us to shoot in his office. Right. In May. And he says, you have a certain amount of time. Right. And so I said, well, okay, I want to get this. I need to get what I need. But normally, you know, in terms of process, you know, on film, you shoot your wides, your mediums, and your close-ups. So they're safe. But I didn't do that on this. I had to tell the story in the shots, and he had just had to shoot that. And so, I mean, we talked about it, and he says, you know, I was like, oh, this is a challenge for me because you don't have the protection of just in case something going wrong, I can go to a wide shot. We didn't have that. And so I had to make sure that I knew in relationship to intent and plan what I wanted to tell, how I would edit, right? And so.
So, one quick question for both, right? How would you describe making it into the music business? Like your steps to making it in the music business. You started as a DJ, and that's how you broke in?
I wouldn't characterize that thing as thing that, well, I wouldn't say that there is any one particular avenue that paved the way, because some people, they write one article for Source. I Source still around. There's one guy. There's one guy in particular.
I don't know.
There's a guy who wrote, and he was like Playboy Mansion, playing on like private jets the next day, and all over the place. I forget his name, but
know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. That the clip you showed is was when I was on Princeton every week. They have the largest FM signal for radio in the United States, I believe. Still, it covers 3 states. That was my co-host on the B side. We were on Drexel and on Princeton at that time every week, and that was a promotional tape that came out, the promotional mix that came out. I've written for magazines all over the world. I went to school for writing, and played on radio shows weekly, did guest appearances via or other people's shows, toured all over the place, have records out everywhere, albums out, singles, and I've done everything there is that I knew to do in music business. And some people, it's just one thing and it hits, and that's it. Just like sort of like anything else.
So it's kind of
there's no surefire.
That's good news. So it's kind of like, it makes me think of like when Mom used to say, "You're a jack of all trades, master of none." But in this case, being a jack of all trades made you a master of one. Kind of, right?
Yeah.
By having your hands out and everything, it kind of got you in the loop.
Because, well, yeah, in the beginning, you don't have agents and managers to lead you and to steer you and tell you what's right and wrong. And if you
take a cut of your money,
right? Certainly. Yeah, if we don't figure it out for ourselves, we don't know if someone's doing a good job or a bad job. If you don't know what the job is yourself.
That makes sense. So, Roderick, like, you know, I've known you since I was in my 20s.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm 56 now.
So are you trying to date me? That's on you. I didn't realize you were that old. No,
I've known you for a long time. I've done theater with you.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, he's like an uncle to me.
So
like, but I can see you have your own style. When do you think you actually developed your style? What did it took to make your style?
Well, much like Ivan said, you really had, we probably have a similar approach. I dived in to learn first and foremost, and I watched. I mean, if I look at theater, there was a process. And
I did 2 plays with you. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And it's similar, okay, in terms of development of style. So with theater, I wanted to learn how to tell if a story is good, right? And so at the onset, I did two things actually. I would literally go to readings of plays at different theaters all over New York. And I'd just sit and listen. I might write a note or two, and I listen to the dramaturg analyze and to see where we differed and where we were similar. And I would I used to carry a little recorder, and I would record dialogue on trains and buses and standing on line waiting for food to see, to get a sense of how people talked, the rhythm. Naturally.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how I learned. And then I took some acting classes. That's how I learned about theater, and I would watch theater. So I've always been intent to studying, observing someone in the process. I worked as a PA for many years after deciding that I was going to change my path. Coming back to after coming out of college and coming back downstate New York, and so I worked on a lot of sets to figure out. I had made a film, by the way, in college, but I wanted to know about how feature films were made in New York. So I just started volunteering and watching, and my I had an opportunity to work with this well-known filmmaker, and I saw the evolution of success in it. I'll drop a name, I guess. I worked on She's Gotta Have It with Spike Lee.
I had a feeling you was talking about that gentleman.
Yes. Right.
I don't mention Spike around you, though. You know what I'm saying? I know better. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I got a lot of love for him, but I had a feeling I learned a lot from working on that. I learned about the power of intent, the power of support, I guess love, because everyone was there because they loved what they were doing. And this is not taking anything from Spike, and so the film wound up being a success. Right. I also learned that if you wanted to have a semblance of success, that you would have to be behind creating your own content. Right. And so I've been on that path. That's kind of like my incline, but I mean, I agree with Ivan that there's no one
certain path. Yeah.
There's no one way to get to in the game. I won't say the end zone or the goal or cross the tape. There's no way.
Well, I would like to say that when you were saying about how you would get on a train or whatever and just record people talking.
And I've observed people, yeah.
You know, it's so true because I understand that because I see movies and I just don't buy it. Like, I just don't buy it. Like, I see the acting and I'm like, people don't talk like that. You know what I'm saying? I see the actors and I'm like, I'm not believing it.
Right.
People don't really talk like that. Yeah. You know, you can see all the overacting and the acting, and I'm like, I don't want to see acting. I want you to make me think it's real, you know? And I learned the hard way, you know, we want real people in real situations. We don't want actors, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, people go to school to learn acting when they really should just learn to be themselves.
The thing about it is that when I talk about intent, there's a combination of intent. Like people, we attend the movies. I mean, I still go to the movies. I go to the theater. I still do it. and as opposed to just always just binging at home in my own place. I venture out. I mean, I think that's part of the artist, to desire to venture. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so so we have an intent, right? We want to be entertained. We want to be moved. We want to escape. The distributor, they want to make money. So if this vehicle made money right before,
Then they'll do it.
they'll do it
1,000
again.
times.
They'll do it again. And so, quality, right, isn't number one on their list.
It's not.
Quality is really replaced with quantity. How
What sells?
much money has this movie made? Subsequently, you see franchises, like
Question.
Halloween 13, Halloween the end, and this shit still doesn't end.
It's ridiculous. You know how many Halloweens?
But
How many times you gonna kill them?
But it's making money.
But
The
I wanna
dollar
get to-
didn't die.
I want to get to some important questions before we run out. Was there a time when the business broke your heart and you almost said, I'm done with it? What was that? When was that? What project was it?
You want to go first?
You go first.
I'm sorry. I threw you under the bus.
Not
I
at
didn't
all.
warn you about that
The-
question.
The only thing more ruthless than that entertainment industry is perhaps music. So, I'm accustomed to that sort of thing. At some point, you have to bite the bullet because there's the state of the music industry. Right, there's music. Music will always be here, and then there's the music industry, and that's something else. You used to have to leave your house to go to hear music, and have someone else perform it for you. That was a privilege, right?
Like, I'm
but-
sorry.
It's sorry.
Then when did it break your heart? When did you say,
yeah,
I'm in the wrong
absolutely, yeah.
business?
When you come to terms with the notion that it doesn't matter what label they put it on at the point where it's out of your hands and it's on the shelf. And the way I described is that I realize I'm going to have to sell my body or my soul, more or less, and pray to the pop gods, because at the end of the day, it's still something that I'm creating, and it's original, and it doesn't matter what it's labeled as. They can do whatever they want with it after it's out of your hands. It's like handing over a script.
So you had to learn to accept that part of it.
Yeah,
But at first you didn't.
Completely. Yeah, because I was too much of a purist or something, and
But then you got bought out, basically. You got to the point where you made the money, and then you was like, "Well, I just had to accept it."
It was a conscious decision, and I was happy to sell my soul to the pop gods.
Your turn, Roderick.
I'll leave it at that.
Broke my heart.
I know that's a big one.
Yeah, it is, because it could call up bad memories. I'll sit here and start crying and shit. No, I'm just.
I'll cry with you, man. We'll cry together.
I'll give you a hug.
I'm gonna tell you mine. I got mine too. I'm gonna answer the same question.
Yeah. So when we say industry, we look at the big picture of all that's involved in it. But there are really, when it boils down to it, and you said it, and you said it also, it's relationships. And it's the individuals that you surround yourself with. There is, hopefully, a brotherhood, a camaraderie, a sense of respect and integrity. And not everyone has that. And so when that shows up, when those individuals show up, and they do something that's kind of contrary to what you think an ally and a friend, right, a colleague would do, that hurts. that hurts. I mean, I used to do music videos, and you'd write treatments, and you don't own that stuff. And then you turn around, and the label says, "Nah, we're gonna go with somebody else." And then 4 days later, a week later, not 4 days, but a week to a month later, you see your treatment, and they gave it to somebody else because that person's hot right now, and you're like, where's the money? And then people who you've extended your time and effort to, and they turn around and they're talking shit about you behind your back.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But I don't give up on the industry. I give up on those individuals. You're not in my circle anymore. I won't dog you, but I will smile at you, and when it always comes back around, right?
Yeah.
They always come back around one day or another, and you're like, "How are you?" But I'm not messing with you. Have a good life.
It's sad because a lot like life, will not always prepared. Your mother and your father prepare you for life, right? The knowledge that they give you helps you make the right decisions in life. But when you coming up as an actor, you don't always have a mother and a father to give you advice and to protect you from making mistakes, So, I didn't know that I should have kept in touch with all my directors. I didn't know that. When I did Lean On Me, I didn't get numbers. I didn't get the director, the producer, the writer. Even though Miss Michael Schiffer said, "Come to L.A., I'll put you on, and always use a good actor." My ego was so big, I didn't think about the fact that one of these days I might need work, help, keep in touch with these people. And I didn't. I didn't know how detrimental having an ego was. So one lesson I've learned is to put the ego in check. Ego closes doors. Humility opens doors. That's a lesson I wish I had learned. One, always look at the dailies. If the director says you want to come watch the dailies, don't say no, I'll wait till it comes out. Watch the dailies with the director. But anyway, we're running out of time. Is there anything you want to say? You want to put your information out there in case you guys want to hire a director or music producer? You got an email you want to drop?
I'll drop an email, gilesfilm at AOL. I mean, I have a Gmail also, but I'll give you that one.
Giles, one more time?
Giles, GILESFILM at AOL.com. And I'm working on a little I'm in development on a feature film that
I'll audition if you need me.
We're retelling. You can. We're retelling. Retelling Frankenstein. We're shooting in New England. It's in a black society. Dr. Frankenstein is black, and he creates the first white man, and the society bugs out.
That sounds intriguing.
Yeah, we just want to look at.
And don't be trying to steal his idea.
You can. It's copyrighted and all of that, and the script is done, and we have some people that are attached to it. We're looking for some money, obviously. So we intend to shoot in 2023, the first quarter, right? Late February. Early March.
Cool. Anything I can do to help, I'm in. Even if it means going knocking on people's door asking for money.
We'll be in New England. We're shooting in Providence, and we're shooting in Rhode Island. And we want
What's
to talk
your
about
email?
music.
What you got? Somebody might want to hire you.
Ivan
somebody
Ross
needs music
at Gmail. IIVANROSS at Gmail. And if you keep your eyes peeled to YouTube and Discogs, some of my releases are coming back out. there's a whole new market. Anything that comes out, it seems like it started in Japan again. Everything comes out on audio cassette. It's not just records again.
That's so cool.
Yeah, all the mixtapes and mixed CDs are being re-released.
Slamming.
Yes.
Yo, I
That's
want
what
to thank you guys. You guys rock the house. Okay. Thank you from the
Thank you,
bottom
sir.
of my heart.
You're welcome.
And
Thanks for
I'd like to
having me.
mention my focus is on this show. This show is a platform for new talent. People behind the scenes and in front of the camera. It's where I bring the two together. So this is where my focus is, and this is where I'm going. Hit me up, amftstudio@gmail.com. I think we are out of time.
Okay.